fam, welcome back. So today we are going to read chapter 6 of Patina. And Patina's chapters are kind of long. I might not make it through all of it. I might just read half of it, but we'll see how it goes. So again, I'm reading it on my iPad because all the copies are checked out from my classroom library, the school library, and the public library. So, hey, thank goodness we live in a world where we can access books, stories, and adventures through so many different outlets, right? Right. Okay, chapter 6. To do. Eat turkey wings for the millionth day in a row. The ride home always goes like this. Momly turns the radio news down and asks how practice was. I tell her it was fine. She asks if I'm tired, and even if I am, I tell her I'm not, just because I don't want Maddie to hear that I'm tired and think I won't be able to help her with stuff like her homework, which every day when I ask her about, she tells me Momly already helped her, and before I can even say anything, Momly says, didn't you want to, Momly just says, didn't want you to have to worry about it, and I just nod. Then I tell Momly I'll help her make dinner as soon as my homework's done, and she says I've already started cooking. And by then, Maddie's already started kicking the back of my seat for the rest of the ride, which drives me crazy. But also, in some weird way, kind of relaxes me, like a massage and a message. I'm here, Patty, and I'm fine. And today was no different. I was tired. Acted like I wasn't. Maddie's homework was done, and I had a little left of mine to do before dinner. Nothing too major. I knocked out my math assignment. English homework was to think about cannons, which basically meant English homework was to think about history homework, which was going to be reading up more on Frida Kahlo, so I could be ready to add some new information to our project. Not like anyone else was going to do it. I figured TNT and Becca were probably at home, I don't know, tanning or something. It wouldn't have surprised me if they had one of those skin cooker things in their houses. Those beds you lay on that come down over the top of you and roast you, and you come out looking like a rotisserie chicken. Meanwhile, I was researching things I learned about Frida so far. 1, she was from Mexico. 2, she was diagnosed with polio when she was 6, which made her right leg skinnier than her left. And 3, when she was 18, she got into a bus accident that broke her spine, crushed her right leg and foot, and made it impossible for her to have babies. Doctors said she would never walk again. Wow, that's a lot. Patty. A squeaky voice, way too silly to be real, came from the other side of my bedroom door. Uncle Tony. He dropped the Daffy Duck talk. Dinner's almost ready. You almost done with your homework? My uncle's voice when he's speaking like a regular human being is deep, but not in a scary way. He has one of those voices that you wish you could touch, wrap yourself up in like a blanket. A voice like a dad. And I guess like an uncle. A favorite uncle. I have to hold it way up close to my face because even though I have my glasses on, the print is so small. And maybe you can probably change that, and I'll look into it later, but I've never used the Apple Book app before. So we just gonna do our best. All right, so he's her favorite uncle. Me and Uncle Tony have been close for forever. He's one of those big kid grown-ups, a goof troop. All jokes all the time. And when I was younger, he was one of the only people who could make my mom laugh. Like a laugh that seemed to come up from her feet. Are y'all thinking what I'm thinking? She doesn't have feet anymore. All right. On we go. Ooh, where was I? Okay, as a matter of fact, he was one of the only people who could make any of us laugh back then. I'm almost done, I said, bookmarking the websites I've been browsing. Tell Momly I'll be right out to help. I jotted one last note, something I'd read that I didn't think was that important to the project, but maybe. Number 4, Frida was close to her father. And that, more than anything, was what me and Frida had in common. Only difference is Frida's dad didn't die when she was young. So she didn't know what that was like. She didn't know what it felt like to be broken until she was older. And not only did I know the feeling of something breaking inside me, I also had to watch my mom go through it and basically get paralyzed in a whole different way, in her brain and in her heart. Matter of fact, after Dad passed, that's when Ma got all churchy. The beginning of catching the spirit and dancing in the aisle and praying for peace in the eye of the storm. But she had no idea the storm was just getting started, because that's also when she started eating, like a lot. And not just regular food, but sweets. All my dad's favorite recipes. Sweet potato cheesecake and peanut butter brownies and white chocolate cookies, and of course, the delicious yellow cupcake with strawberry icing. Your daddy used to say this thing was so good they make you slap your mama, Ma would say, nibbling the top of the cupcake, so you better not have too many of them. We'd do like a ha-ha, and then she'd have too many. And too many, and too many. I guess maybe the sweets were a way of staying kind of connected to my dad. Dessert for the deserted. And I'm not going to pretend like it wasn't amazing living in a house that always smelled like sugar, which smelled like him. And heaven. It was great, but eventually it wasn't, because diabetes came and took Ma's legs. Took most of what was left of her life, too. And that's when the actual storm reached maximum storminess. And I was pretty messed up by the whole thing, but doing my best to be strong and brave and big and all the other things I ain't really feel like being at the time. I'd rather be sneaking lipstick on in the bathroom, sending Cotton selfies of how fly I looked, then washing it all off so my mother wouldn't see. Or sitting on the curb at Cotton's painting our nails with nail polish I wasn't allowed to wear, that her big brother Skunk would steal from the beauty store. Even though I would have to scrub mine clean before I came home, unless it was clear polish. But then what's the point? Or trying to convince my mother to let me use cucumber mango or berry rose water or kiwi coconut or any other fluty, flowery, good-smelling lotion on her swollen, cracked up... I really need to make this bigger print. On her swollen, cracked up legs. Flipping through magazines, cringing at kitten heels, even though those were the only ones I'd ever had a shot at wearing in Bev Jones's house. That's what I used to do, what I wanted to be doing, but I couldn't do none of those things no more. At least not like I wanted, because now I had to look out for Maddie, who was just confused. I think she had just turned 4, too young to really understand what was going on with Ma's health. And it was really hard to explain it all to her. So I told Maddie that Mom's legs had to go away. Looking back on it, maybe it wasn't the best idea, but at the time it was all I had, and it seemed to help. And that's when that crazy thing I was talking about earlier happened. That crazy moment with Maddie happened. She asked me to help her write a letter. She said it was for school, so of course I grabbed a pencil and a sheet of paper from her backpack. Set Maddie in the little chair at her desk, leaned over, and asked what she wanted it to say. She wanted it to say this: "Dear Mommy Legs." I remember my hand instantly started shaking. Excuse me. And I was squeezing the pencil tight enough to snap it in half. But I kept writing what Maddie told me to write. Where did you go, and why did you have to leave, and what are you doing? Are you having fun without us? Are you jumping? Are you dancing? Are you running fast? Please come back. We miss you. Love, Madison Jones. I dropped the pencil. Maddie, what you gonna do with this? I tried to clear the shake from my voice, and it took me flexing every muscle in my body, even cracked my toes just to keep the tears inside my face. Thank goodness her back was to me. First, I'm gonna bring it to school for show and tell. Oh, okay. And then what? Well, after I show it to the class, I was gonna see if maybe you could send it. Send it to the legs. Maddie threw her head back, her big eyes staring up at me. Hold it in, Patty, hold it in. Yes, I will, send it. I kissed her forehead. Your legs ain't gonna run away too, are they? She asked, worry suddenly washed across her face. No, Maddie. I slapped my legs. These ain't going nowhere. How you know? She asked. I didn't have a good answer to that, and instead toothed my bottom lip to keep it from quivering. I just do. I eked out barely. I'll prove it. How? How are you gonna prove it? Well, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Don't say it, Patty. Don't say it. I promise. I said it. And instantly felt like I messed up. Like I said something wrong. I wished I had had an invisible cupcake to stuff in my mouth. Something, anything. Some stupid pretend tea, pretend cupcake, anything. I mean, how was I going to prove my legs weren't going to run away from me? Would this be one of those things I was going to have to hope Maddie just forgot about? But the pressure of it all was worth it, because the worry on Maddie's face unwound. She nodded then, hit me with the gut punchiest of all gut punches. Pinky promise. Oh no, pinky promises for us ain't no joke. They're like contracts. Break a pinky, blah, blah, blah. Break a pinky promise and people will make you feel like you in jail or something. Friendship jail, or in this case, big sister jail. Maddie held her pinky out. I hooked mine into hers, touching thumbs. Now she knew there was no way I would let her down. Then she got back to business. She tapped the letter. So you know where to send this? She followed. Blow after blow after blow, killing me. Waffle. What? Okay, I don't know what the... Oh, blow after blow after blow, killing me, Waffle. But this one, I couldn't answer at all. I just couldn't. So I just left, ran to my room, threw myself on the bed, and curled into a ball. Breathe, Patty. Breathe. Crazy thing was, the next day at school, we were having a field day, and I was paired on a relay race team with Lou. I know I said I never ran one, but this wasn't like a real relay. This was more just like slapping each other's hands and running as fast as we could. And after our race, it was Lou who told me about his track club he was in at the time, the Sparks. That night, I went home and asked Uncle Tony and Mom Lee, and all the dots connected. My first club team. The rest, as they say, is history, or present. All I know is it just seemed like something, somewhere, legs don't got souls, right? Was telling me to do it, pushing me to do it. Not just for me, but for Dad, and for Ma, and for Maddie, who, bonus, I suddenly, thankfully, had an answer for. Pinky promise and all. Whew, let me get a drink. Alrighty, turkey wings. Momly made turkey wings every single night. Every single night. So it's always funny because when Uncle Tony says things like, dinner's almost ready, I never have to ask what we're having. I know what we're having. Turkey wings with rice and a veggie, usually broccoli. Not even turkey breast or a turkey leg or even a turkey sandwich. Wings only. I had never had them before we came to live with them, and the first night Momly cooked them, I told her I liked them, and that was it. It was set in stone. Turkey wings for life. Momly kept the kitchen just like she kept the car, clean, germ-free, scrubbed from top to bottom with something sudsy and bright-colored, like sun yellow that smelled like rotten lemon, or mutant green that smelled like if every flower in the world sneezed. I pulled up to the table. Maddie was peeling fat off the meat. Cauliflower tonight. White broccoli. But not nearly as white as the spotless dinner plates. After I told Momly what I had to tell her every night, which was that I was sorry for not finishing my homework in time to help her, she kicked off the dinner small talk with telling us about her favorite patient. See, she got her own business, but it don't make her boat money, where she takes care of sick people. Emily's Expert Care, which I think is a terrible name, by the way. Ain't got no warmth to it, no hug in it. I think it should be called something like In Emily's Arms or Mobile Mom, something like that. Maddie thinks it should be called Momly to the Rescue. And well, even though I don't like that name either, it would at least be a true statement. At least for Ma, because when me and Maddie went to go live with Momly and Uncle Tony, it just made sense for Momly to add Ma to her client list, along with the most talked about of them all, Mr. Warren, who Momly calls the sweetest old man alive. But I don't really know if my mother is the sweetest old lady alive, and Ma wasn't really happy about none of it at first, just because she don't really like being taken care of. But at least it's family and not some stranger, even though she can definitely be a lot to deal with. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe a stranger would have been better. I bet during those first few visits, Ma almost drove Momly to Jesus too, or off a cliff. Well, my favorite patients beside your mother, Momly clarified about Mr. Warren. He was an old man who had Alzheimer's, which basically just means he can't really remember too much no more. She said sometimes random stuff popped in his head, but usually he doesn't know where he is, even though he's in his own house. So he just stays in the bed. And Momly goes over there and feeds him and makes sure he's all cleaned up while his daughter runs around taking care of errands and stuff. Momly's been looking out for him for a long time. I went to use the bathroom, and when I got back to the room, he was up out of the bed, tearing the room apart, looking for something. He was yanking clothes out of the closet and snatching pictures off the wall. So I asked him what he was looking for, and he said, "Something to buff the floor with." "Buff the floor?" Uncle Tony asked. I was just as confused. That's what he said, and when I told him the floor didn't need buffing, he explained that he had mouths to feed, and who was going to take care of his family. Momly laid her napkin in her lap all proper, like she was eating in front of folks she ain't know. Eventually, I got him to calm down, got him back in bed where he seemed to just melt back into himself, and I put everything back in the closet and hung the pictures back on the wall. She shook her head. Just one of those days, poor guy. Momly took a breath, then turned to me. "Speaking of pictures on the wall, Patty, how's the whole Frida thing going?" Momly now pushed her fork through one of the tiny trees. Tired seemed to sit in her cheeks, make her face look saggy. It wouldn't have surprised me if she fell asleep right there at the table. "It is Frida, right?" I nodded. I'd asked her if she knew anything about Frida when we first got the assignment, but she said she didn't. She had seen her in pictures, but that was pretty much it. "It's going okay," I told her. "She seems like a cool lady." Whew. Okay, we're almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the chapter for you. "But not as cool as you," Uncle Tony said, wiggling his eyebrows. Oh, wow, I did not expect that to be so cartoonish when I did that. I didn't know that my eyebrows would do all that. My bad. Okay, here we go. "But not as cool as you, Uncle..." I'm not going to do that again. I wasn't sure if Momly was done small talking me about my school project, but if she wasn't, Uncle Tony definitely ended my chance of it continuing because he awkwardly made a hard left into a totally different conversation. How was practice?" "Frida to track practice?" Worst transition of all time. This is why Momly's the small talk queen and Uncle Tony's the cartoon character. But I knew Uncle Tony wasn't trying to be rude and that his jumpiness was all about my second place loss at the meet on Saturday, which, by the way, he wasn't at. Had an emergency at the office. He does something called information technology, which is IT for short, it for even shorter, which is what he says, which all just means he works with computers. And apparently sometimes computers have emergencies. Anyway, all this weird dinner chat time was his way of knocking on the door of my brain like, "Hey, is it okay to come in?" And if it wasn't for practice today, maybe I'd still be mad. I told him and Momly and Maddie about being chosen for the 4x800 relay team and doing the waltz. The waltz? Like the ball gown? Pinky in the air dance? Pinky in the air was Uncle Tony's way of saying fancy. Yep, it was to teach us something about being in tune with each other. Like knowing each other so well that we don't even have to think about the handoff. "Maddie, sweetheart, eat your cauliflower." Momly's exhausted voice slid between me and Uncle Tony's. Maddie groaned. "Eat your cauliflower," I repeated. "It'll make you strong." Uncle Tony followed my lead, curled his arm up, making his muscles jump. Maddie smiled. "Well, if doing the waltz is all it takes, then let me show you how to run even faster," Uncle Tony said. Then, as soon as he said it, he braced himself, thinking I would catch feelings, as if I thought he was saying I don't run fast enough. And judging by Saturday, I don't. Not fast enough. But it was cool. "Uncle Tony, I'm not mad no more," I told him, getting straight to the point so he could stop acting so weird. His shoulders dropped, rolled back as if he'd just unbuttoned the top of his pants after a big meal. Oh, thank God. He exhaled the words and I smirked, then tapped my fork on Maddie's plate. She stabbed a piece of cauliflower, lifted it to her mouth. Uncle Tony continued, "So yeah, if you want to run faster, try this." He scooted out from the table, Momly already frowning at whatever was coming. And then it came. The strangest thing I've ever seen Uncle Tony do. Maybe ever. The running man. Oh my gosh. "So yeah, if you want to run faster, try this." He scooted out. I cannot even keep my place. Maybe I'm tired. Just like Aunt, what's her name? Momly. The Running Man. And then off it came, spastic and offbeat and all over the place. Maddie busted out laughing, white mush in her mouth, and I was right behind her, my laughter scrubbing away the last 10% of sad in me. Uncle Tony lurched forward, pumping his legs, panting. "This is how you do it, Patty." And I kept snickering. My uncle, a straight-up clown. Ooh, okay, that brings us to chapter 7, and we only have four more chapters left, which is absolutely insane. So chapter 7 is called To Do. Calm down, count to 10 or 10,000. So I'm curious as to what's going to happen. What is she going to need to calm down about? What is going to make her so mad that counting to 10 is not going to be enough? So, yeah, until I come back to read chapter 7, I want you to think about that too. Let's make an inference. And for those of you I haven't taught, an inference is when you take something you know plus something you read, put it together, you make an inference. Basically an educated guess. So I want you to take what you know or what you've experienced with being angry when you needed to like take some deep breaths or count to 10 to calm down, and then take what you know so far about Patty, put those together, make an inference on what you think might have her so upset in chapter 7. All right, remember, it's better to keep your nose in a book, even a digital one, than in someone else's business. I'll see y'all next time.